Alright, ladies and gentlemen, today we're going to talk about hiring, or more specifically, how not to miss the best people that apply for a job at your company. This is minimum viable advice and my name is Dimitri Sarle. You see, most of us are completely biased when hiring or even talking to people on the street. You get distracted by their looks, you get distracted by what colleges they attended, and this has been documented in a lot of research. For example, there's this thing called the confirmation bias. That is when you get biased by some sort of information about the person that you want to confirm. For instance, you know that they want to go to university and you want to confirm that they must be good as a result of that. Another common bias that is very prevalent is affective heuristics bias. Basically, if somebody comes in all tattooed up, you might treat them a little bit differently, which is unfair and unfortunately very hard to control. The problem with all of that is that when you start looking for people to apply for your job, you actually are asking for more and more of those biases. When you have your application form, you're asking them for their age, for their sex, for the country they were born in, and much more information, which actually makes you biased and makes you prone to losing the best people. To make you understand that a little bit better, we need to talk about a concept called predictive validity. And what it does is basically it measures how good a certain hiring method is for future job performance. And if the predictive validity is 1, that means it's the best hiring method in the world. If you do that test, it will 100% of the time tell you how good a person will perform in the future. If predictive validity is 0, that means it's completely irrelevant, and if you know that information, it's basically useless. For example, CVs, the most common test used, has a predictive validity of 0.10 to 0.18, depending on the CV and the study. That means it's almost irrelevant. Age has a predictive validity of 0.01, and education, years spent in education, have a predictive validity of 0.1. For comparison's sake, astrology and handreading has a predictive validity of 0.1 as well. So now you can understand that hiring methods are flawed and you can be biased. So how can you prevent all this bias from happening to you? First, well, stop asking for it. Right? Stop asking for the age of the people, stop asking for their education, stop asking for their CVs, and stop asking for their references, because all of that is irrelevant. Ask for what really matters, like job performance, past performance, and things like that. Second, involve more people in your hiring process. One person might be biased, 2 people are likely to be less biased as a group together. For us, when we hire Arctic Startup, we try to eliminate bias completely. All we do is when people send us CVs or references or cover letters, we don't read any of that. The only thing that we do is we reply and say, please fill out this form. And in the form, we only ask questions that are really important to us. For example, what would you do in case of a zombie apocalypse? Or what is your IQ to the best of your knowledge? These questions and tests really help us filter out the candidates for the next stage. And we don't ask for anything, not even a name. The only thing we know is actually the person's email. And thankfully, more often than not, that doesn't give us any information at all. And you know what? That helped us a lot. It helped us to find people who are very young and inexperienced, but extremely smart. It helped us to find people who have been doing completely other jobs before, but wanted to try something new. And if we read their CVs or if we read their emails, we would not hire them. One of the best salespeople at Arctic Startup used to be a kindergarten teacher, and his email had so many mistakes in it that I would probably never invite them for an interview. But the answers to the questions were amazing, and that's why we asked them to come for an interview and hired them later on. And we were right. This was minimum viable advice for this week. Tell us how you hire people, tell us what processes and tricks you use, and we'll feature you in our next videos. Thank you very much for listening, subscribe, like this video, and see you next time. Ta-ta!